Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit more on the personal end here. This is one of the very few videos where I am going to have a disclaimer here at the beginning. In no uncertain terms, negativity will not be accepted in my comment section. You will be blocked, not just have your comment deleted if you are a repeat offender within the context of this video. So I have received some concerned, some questioning, some looking for advice, questions, emails, comments, Instagram messages, even a couple on Facebook PMs asking about my weight loss for 2020. In order to give you some backstory here, if you did not follow me during Vlogmas, I kind of started easing into this subject a little bit more. It is something that is a little bit touchy to discuss. There is some personal stuff that goes into it medical wise. So with that disclosure out of the way, I am also not a doctor in any way, shape, or form. However, I developed my eating plan with my previous doctor before I left Columbia and have since checked in with a doctor here since I moved to Charlotte. So what is the deal? I've mentioned before that I follow a keto-esque low-carb diet. I do not follow that diet for the sake of weight loss, though. Many years ago, before I had my car accident and messed up my back, in the middle of dealing with fallout from having a tumor eat my lymph node and everything, I accidentally started an elimination diet. This was not something that my doctor and I set out to do. It just kind of organically happened. At the time, my husband was working out of state. I was at home a lot by myself. I'll be honest, when I'm here by myself, I am a lazy cook. I will make a vat of soup and eat on that all week, or a roast and eat on that all week. Chop up a whole bunch of vegetables and have them available for salads. I mean, I'm a simple eater when I'm here by myself. I'm frequently the person who has breakfast for dinner, because it's easy. I like eggs, so a couple fried eggs and a strip of bacon make a perfect dinner for me. In the course of that, I realized a lot of my digestional issues had cleared up. And when I went to go talk to my doctor about it, we had started testing for things like Crohn's, celiacs, IBS, IBD, things like that. But in the course of this, we realized, wait a minute, maybe we don't need to do anything more evasive because this is clearing up. What are we doing differently? So I started tracking my foods and looking at my food journal from before. And we realized I had accidentally cut out wheat. And we tried a couple other things, reintroducing them a little bit more non-aged dairy, a little bit more non-active culture dairy, seeing if maybe the lactose intolerance maybe had just gotten better. And, I could drink a glass of milk and not be sick all of a sudden. Little gassy, but not, violently ill from it. And realized, okay, well, maybe we need to reintroduce wheat and see what happens. And my symptoms returned almost immediately. So I've known for about 5 years prior to doing this that wheat was not my friend. It doesn't appear to be celiacs. It doesn't appear to be an allergy. It appears to be something in it I just don't digest very well. My IBS symptoms were stop and go. I know a lot of people deal with the going chronically, but mine would be severely stop, severely go, back and forth. Not trying to be vulgar or gross here, but the reality is it was becoming very difficult to live an active, normal life with this, and something had to change. So knowing that, I didn't eat wheat for quite a few months. I did really, really well with that. Continued eating everything I normally would eat. But the other thing we noticed is my inflammation markers dropped. And with that means, my joints didn't hurt so much. I was able to move more. I had more fluid joint movement. Other things related to inflammation had decreased. I was feeling really, really good, and I hadn't felt that well in probably 8 years previously. And the only thing we could conclude was with cutting out wheat. Obviously, I wasn't eating cake, pie, cookies, things like that. I was very hesitant to start, like wheat-free baking and stuff like that. I just didn't want to make that kind of an investment in pleasure foods. So I just cut those foods out. I just didn't eat desserts and stuff. I didn't even, think of like puddings and things like that. I just had cut out refined sugar from my diet. After we discovered all this and I was making gains, I was feeling great and everything, I had my car accident. I was unable to stand for any length of time. I couldn't really even sit for most of the day. I had to either be in motion walking or laying in a semi-reclined position in order to be comfortable. It really messed up my back. Then we had transition. We moved house. I started watching my grandkids on a regular basis. We moved to this house. The years following discovering this, like life was constantly in turmoil. I would repeatedly kind of get back on track and then something would happen, get back on track and then something would happen. And in the summer of 2019, I had my biggest inflammation attack I'd ever had, or late spring, early summer. If you've been with me for any length of time, you might have noticed all of a sudden that summer, my face and everything started looking really, really puffy. My hands were really, really swollen. I was moving a little bit more stiffly. Great, I'm stiff today because I've got a crick in my neck. I slept wrong. But I was off and it was really impacting me. I went from about 240-ish pounds to 275 pounds in less than 6 weeks. I mean, and a lot of it was fluid retention from inflammation, but still, like, it was incredibly uncomfortable. When you gain that much weight that fast, your skin hurts. I mean, it just constantly feels like it's pulling, your joints hurt, you're stiff, you're uncomfortable. Life kind of sucks. We get through this. All of a sudden, like, I kind of cleaned up my diet a little bit more and the fluid released. In about 2 weeks, I had lost, 15 pounds of just water weight. And by then I was finally able to get into the doctor and my inflammation markers were way high. All my blood work was kind of wonky. We knew what had happened. There was no denying what had happened. And I went into the rest of the transition and moving, knowing that, change was going to have to come once we got stable here at this house. Back at Christmas of 2019, I started to have another inflammation flare up and immediately right after Christmas started cutting things out. We ate off what we had, we finished off what we had, but we really made a focus, or I made a focus to not buy any more of these foods. I'm in charge of cooking and grocery shopping here 95% of the time. So I'm kind of in control of what comes into the house. But yeah, I had to make a change for my ability to function. So I went back to a low carb diet. I mean, that just is what happens frequently when you cut out wheat and sugar. You're automatically cutting out, at least for me, 60% of carbs that you consume. There's not a whole lot of other things that I consume that are necessarily high carb, with the exception of I do have a melon addiction during the summer, and I can definitely eat like an entire watermelon by myself in like 2 days. But by and large, I mean, I really, for me, just cutting those out, I was already at a low carb diet. Now, what I had done differently in the past, which made it a little bit more difficult to manage and control long term, is I did continue to let myself have potatoes and rice. Unfortunately, I get really bad sugar cravings. I am definitely a carbaholic. And when I'm allowing myself to have those things, cravings begin, and you start thinking and wishing and wanting and focusing, and bad habits trickle back in very quickly. This past year, what I had decided to do is go into a more modified keto diet. Now, I'm not the only one in my family who has issues like these. I'm not the only one who's had these kinds of problems. My mom and I have discussed, back and forth. We have very different approaches to our keto diets. She follows Dr. Westman's plan, which is more what you have to consume daily in order to be healthy and help reverse things like diabetes and stuff like that. My aunt has her own version of keto that she is consuming. My cousins kind of have their own version of it that's modified for them, their lifestyle, and the way they want to eat. And I have my own, which is great. And we've all kind of discussed, how interesting it is that all of us are having amazing results. For me, I haven't had an inflammation flare up in a year. I haven't even hinted at one in now over a year, because we are into 2021 now. I was able to start working out again, exercising more regularly again, getting out of the house on a more regular cycle and schedule, feeling good, waking up not hurting in the morning, actually wanting to do things. So lifestyle wise, for me, it made a huge change. Now, as I said, like everybody in my family who's kind of followed the same thing, we've all had health markers we're kind of looking at. My mom wants a normal A1C for her age group. I want to not have to deal with chronic inflammation problems. My aunt has her own goals that she has set out for her. All of us, though, are working with our doctors and discussing with them what we consume, what we don't consume, keeping an eye on the medications we're on or not on, coming off of. This is not something we're doing alone. And before I go any further in discussing how I eat and anything else, I want to make this very, very clear. Consult your doctor and talk with your doctor beforehand. Under no circumstances should you make these decisions without medical supervision. When you cut out a food group or a huge selection of foods that you can consume or can't consume, you run the risk of becoming malnourished, putting garbage food into your body, not consuming things that are giving you what your body actually needs. In my case, I went about it through an accidental elimination diet and then a controlled elimination diet with my doctor. At no point in time was I really on my own doing this. So I have always recommended, if you are interested in trying to eat the way I eat or trying an elimination diet to remove inflammation, reduce certain health risk and stuff, do this with your doctor's supervision. See if there is a food-based problem, not a consumption-based, activity-based, overindulgence-based problem. I do have one friend who, when they did their elimination diet, animal protein came back as being what is an inflammation trigger for them. I have another friend that came back with a non-lactose intolerant, non-allergy based dairy inflammation problem. So what I did for me might not work for everybody else with the same results and benefits. Consult your doctor. Work with your doctor, and if your doctor doesn't take your concerns seriously, find a new doctor. You should always be an advocate for your health and well-being and your physical and mental health moving forward, none of us are getting younger. And as we get older, our body starts responding stronger and stronger to certain things. And there are certain changes men and women experience as we get older that can be impacted by our not being attentive to our health as we get older. So, specifically what I do. At the beginning of the year, I was very, very strict. I wouldn't eat carrots. I wouldn't eat berries. I look to a lot more nut seeds, things like that to maintain nutrition. I am very, very, very strong advocate of consuming as much of your daily needed nutrition as possible. In full disclosure, I do take a multivitamin. I do take extra iron. I do take a calcium, magnesium, zinc, and I don't produce vitamin D naturally. That's something we've known for 8 years now. I produce nominal amounts of vitamin D, even with lots and lots of sun exposure, lots and lots of activity, consuming fortified dairies and foods. I don't produce or retain vitamin D very well at all. So I do take a substantial dose of vitamin D every single day of my life. And I have for many years now. It drastically improved my chronic fatigue syndrome, and I'm able to, once again, it's something that helps support a healthy day-to-day life for me. But yeah, at the beginning of the year, January 1st weighed 253 pounds. I am 5'5". I mean, I'm not in any particular way towards what anyone would consider a normal weight. As of New Year's 2020, I weigh 200.3 pounds. So I have lost 53 pounds. I lost right at a pound a week over the course of the year. I don't calorie count. I don't macro count. I don't think in terms of that. To me, that tells me what I can't do, not what I can do. Where I am right now, once again, this has been about regaining my health and well-being, not about losing weight. Losing weight was a secondary thing. And I consider my workouts to be what I do to lose weight. And I consider my diet to be what I do to be healthy. So when I went to the doctor, everything came back perfectly normal with the exception of my cholesterol. It was a little elevated for my age group. That's an easy fix. Cut back on the dairy and the red meat. I am a beef lover. I don't eat bacon every day. I do eat bacon maybe twice a week. I do eat a lot of eggs, but once again, that's healthy cholesterol. Same thing with shrimp. So I do eat seafood. I eat eggs. I have, over the last couple weeks, increased my turkey, chicken, and lean pork consumption and dropped beef back to a once, maybe twice a week thing. But I kind of expected that to be a little elevated, especially in the middle of Christmas season when we were eating much more decadent foods and eating a lot more than normal. I did expect that number to come back a little high. It was not a surprise when that came back elevated. I did start off being a lot more strict with myself as I started exercising and actually needing more quick burn calories to complete my workout and still have the rest of my day to accomplish things. I did start integrating more carb-rich fruits and vegetables into my diet. Over the summer, I did allow myself to have watermelon, just not a whole half of a watermelon. I would have a cup of watermelon or about 3 ounces of watermelon. I can devour watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, muskmelon, doesn't matter. I can eat it all. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. But I did portion control on the days I consume those things. I do portion control those. I do eat blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. If I want carrots, I will have carrots. If I want tomatoes, I will have tomatoes. I'm not as concerned with the lower sugar fruits and vegetables as I am in ensuring I'm not eating so much that I start triggering cravings for moist double food cake or, you know, my chewy chocolate chip cookies or anything like that. I really don't have a big issue with fruits and vegetables kicking back cravings that much. So I do allow myself to have modest portions of higher sugar carb in general, fruits and vegetables. I do kind of pay attention to my net carbs. When you reduce a huge ban of foods that contain fiber, you do have to be aware of what your fiber intake is, which is where I end up accidentally tracking like my net carbs. I am very lucky. I enjoy a lot of vegetables in particularly. The entire cabbage family is my best friend. I could eat broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, Brussels sprouts. I can eat those any day, anytime. No problem. I like spinach. I like lettuce. I like celery. I love radishes, turnips. Americans just don't consume enough turnips. That's just not something we think of, and I love turnips. Turnips are a great alternative to potatoes in soups and stews. They're hearty, they're dense, they hold up great, the texture's amazing, and that little zestiness of them is perfect. It's like seasoning and substance all at once. I am very lucky that I enjoy home cooked food. And I enjoy experimenting and trying new things. It's made this process a lot easier, but I do meal prep huge groups of food at a time. You know, I will still make a big pot of chili and freeze part of it, keep part of it. It's one of the reasons why I wanted a vacuum sealer for Christmas, is so I can put things like chili aside for tomorrow. Especially on the weekends, we tend to be very busy either here at the house or trying to catch up on errands. We haven't had time to run. I enjoy being able to just have everything made on Friday, and we can kind of grab and go as we want over the weekends, or like drove us home for 2 weeks for Christmas. Same thing, you know, just do a big prep up one day a week. That way most of the food is prepared or in leftover form for the rest of the week. To me, that does make it just so much easier. Like tonight we're having sheet pan hibachi. Everything but the zucchini, onions, and mushrooms have been chopped and ready to go, marinating, things like that. Like all of that, I prepped what I could in advance, and now it's just waiting to be thrown all together at the end. So I've got 10 minutes worth of vegetable chopping, and then it goes in the oven. I'm done. So I do eat a wide variety of foods. I try to steer clear of pre-packaged keto foods or low carb foods, Atkins foods, as much as possible. But there are days where I don't feel like eating, but know I need something on my stomach, or I'm not feeling great. I need to take a medicine that I need to take, and I have to have something on my stomach now in order to take something. So I do keep on hand some kind of meal bar, whether it be an IQ bar, an Atkins meal bar. Stay clear of the Slim Fast meal bars because those things are nasty. All that Slim Fast keto stuff is just nasty. You can smell the chemicals across the room. It's just nasty. I keep Atkins shakes on hands for mornings where, like I might leave at 7 and not come home again until 1, and I won't eat while I'm out. So I need just something as a stopgap. I might not be ready to eat. I might not be hungry enough to eat, but I need something in order to not be starving when I get home, or give myself a headache, or have a blood sugar drop, or anything like that. Like, I do keep things like that on hand, but that's for occasional use. Most of what I eat, though, is fresh foods. I eat salads. I eat meat. I eat steamed vegetables. I'll saute up some vegetables. I generally shop the outer perimeter of the grocery store. I don't really buy a whole lot except for the condiment section and cat food in the center of the store. So I am conscientious about what I eat, but I don't calorie count or anything like that. I just eat within the confines of what my body needs. I do try to eat some form of dark leafy green every day. I also eat something that is nutrient dense, like broccoli, regularly. That's a regular in my diet. By March, I mean, I had already lost about 20 pounds by March, and the inflammation had reduced. I was feeling really, really good. So that's when I started walking. I did not start walking 5 miles a day. That is not where I started out. I started out with making it to the end of the street and back, which is 1 mile or a little over a mile round trip. And I didn't even make it all the way down the first time. I went to the clubhouse and back the first time. I took it very, very slow. I didn't do anything more than what my body can take. The last week, I haven't been able to work out at all. My body just couldn't take it between the cold, and I am definitely feeling some of the low pressure, high pressure headache stuff where we've had the storm fronts coming in and pushing back out and pushing in and pushing back out. That's played havoc with my joints and with my head. So I think in the last 3 weeks, I've maybe gotten 4 workouts or walks in. It's just been very, very difficult to do any more than that. I listen to my body and make sure I'm not doing more than what I can do. I do longer walks on days where I know I don't have a whole lot of housework to be done those days or running around to be done those days. I try to really pay attention to how I'm feeling and not overdo it, because if I overdo it, I'm down for the next day. I can't do anything else. When I took down the Christmas decor, my husband was kind of mad because I was going to do it by myself while he was out of town for a few days. And it's like, but it's just easier for me to just tunnel vision, work until I'm done, and then stop for the day. I used my Fitbit as a tool to, I can't do any more cleaning and packing than 12,000 steps. Because after that, especially with the up and down the stairs stuff, I know I would be too exhausted the next day to do anything. So I capped my exercise, took a shower when I was done, and nothing else. Like, that's it. That's all I'm doing. So I do still have to be careful. I do still have to be conscientious about how much activity I'm getting in and stuff, but I am substantially more well off than I was. I've had some very sweet emails when I was working on that sweater at the beginning of the year, last year, or March, April time. Somebody had sent me an email in November saying, "You were looking awfully skinny in that picture. I'm a little worried because it looks like you've lost even more weight. Are you okay? Is your health okay?" Yes, I'm fine. When I took that picture, I was at about 225. I'm still just at 200. So I didn't lose as much weight as it looked like I had. That was a very flattering angle, I guess. I've had a couple of people asking for advice, and the best advice I can give you is, if you suspect that you have an inflammation issue that is holding you back from the activities you want to do, and you suspect that there might be a food component to it, definitely consult with your doctor and talk to them about doing an elimination diet to see if there is something that could be a contributing factor. Everybody in my family seems to be doing very well, and particularly the women, and we all have really, really painfully slow metabolisms. And we each have our own set of other health issues we've been concerned with. But for us, this has been a life-saving, sanity-saving way to take care of our bodies and put us in the ability to do more to take care of ourselves. So for us, it has been kind of a a big deal. And particularly my mom and I have spent a lot of time talking about it. And, you know, like she won't eat tomatoes and carrots, but she still eats her greens. Uh, I'm like, no. I mean, I love carrots. I can eat an entire bag of baby carrots and not even realize what I've done. So, you know, I do have to, you treat them like they tell you to treat potato chips, you know, put them in a little dish and that's just what you get. But definitely, if you're in the same boat I was, you know, definitely consult with your doctor. See if there's a food related component. I can't just say, I think it's a great idea to cut out all this food that, you know, is already not necessarily healthy for you. You're not necessarily getting, you know, big bang for your buck for nutrition out of it. But I can't say 100%, you know, I can advocate. It's not an easy way to eat, especially when you're transitioning. If you have an active, you know, dining out with friends and family routine, it is very difficult to be that person who's like, yeah, I can't eat that, can't eat that, can't eat that. I do allow myself, if there's something I really want and I'm willing to pay for it, I'll pay for it. I don't bring in, you know, like cakes and stuff like that unless like we're having the kids over or something. Like I don't bring them into the house to begin with. You know, Troy has his snacks, I have mine, that's fine. But like bringing in a whole sheet cake is just not going to happen here unless like it's all going to be gone the day it's brought in. Same thing. I do have a low carb pizza recipe I like, but there has been at least once in the last year where I just really wanted restaurant deep dish Chicago style pizza. I paid for it for about 4 days after eating it. I don't recommend doing that because, in particularly for me, it is foods that hurt. It's not just foods that I shouldn't eat for one reason or another. But it is what it is. I'm going to be completely transparent and honest with you. I mean, it is what it is at that point. So I don't know if that really answered the question so much as just gave you a blanket point to be able to come in. You know, I did answer some of the questions directly. I am working with a medical professional. I am healthy. There are no other external health issues going on. And to those of you who reached out and were worried about my health because I was not addressing this at all, thank you so much. It really did mean a lot to me that you were concerned about my health and well-being, and you were concerned that there was something going on that I hadn't mentioned. But it is what it is. It's just, you know, changing my diet for what I needed and getting exercise. It's not rocket science once you know what it is. It's just making yourself stick with it because the alternative really, really was scary and it really was painful. I cannot express to you enough how painful the inflammation flare-ups were becoming. Before, it was just, you know, a month or two of joint pain. I couldn't move very easily. I would slow down and feel fuzzy-headed. The last one I had before we moved was insanely painful. And when I was in the middle of the move, made it 900 times worse because stress, anxiety, and then physical pain just sucked. So, I mean, it works for me. I enjoy it. I have definitely expanded my food horizons. I've definitely found new recipes and trying new things. I shared my faux oatmeal recipe during Vlogmas. I shared my hamburger bun sandwich roll recipe. And I'm just saying those things are so good when you add some everything bagel seasoning in there. When turkey sandwich with that. Faux oatmeal with a handful of blueberries. Delicious. Love it. Insanely nutrient dense. I mean, flaxseed, chia seed. things like that. It just, and instead of putting cream on it, I'll put some plain kefir on it. So, getting some probiotics, some dairy on top of all that. Yeah, so I have expanded my food horizons quite a bit this last year. I have definitely been focusing on consuming massive amounts of nutrients in my meals and adding in things that I know I'm low on. But being able to get out and, I went from being able to walk half a mile, 3/4 of a mile to 3 to 5 miles daily. Kind of speaks for itself as far as how much better I felt over the course of 2020. I definitely had already set out for this year to be a take care of me year, restabilize, get healthy kind of mentality for the year. And I have to say, I definitely feel like I succeeded. The weight loss is definitely nice. It's definitely nice to not carry around, an 8-year-old basically. And it has been weird because I don't look in the mirror and see a whole bunch of weight loss. I'm frequently surprised when I pull out clothes and go, oh, my jeans don't fit anymore. And I mean, we got to the point like my jeans were literally falling off my hips. And I was so devastated because jean shopping, even when I was a, skinny mini size 6, size 8, was never fun for me. Finding a pair of jeans that actually fit comfortably and it was the right shape for my body was never a fun thing. And the idea of having to go jean shopping just put me off so bad. That was not a happy week, but I did it and I did get some new jeans. I have had to replace a lot of my casual wear clothes. Even my leggings were getting to where I couldn't wear them. They wouldn't stay up. And I'm happy about this. It's weird. I'm very pleased with it. I am worried as the vaccine gets spread further in our community and churches and stuff reopen full time. I'm worried I might not have dresses for church. We're finally able to go back to mass again. That's going to be kind of weird having to go back and find clothes that fit, that I haven't had to think about now in a year while doing this. I'm not letting up on my health and wellness goals for 2021. I do finally feel like I'm at the point where I can start integrating a lot more strength training, resistance training into my week of workout. So I will be hopefully starting to get a little bit more muscle mass to go along with the weight loss part of it. I did start integrating yoga into my workouts in December. So I'm regaining some extra flexibility, but I mean, I went from right after my last inflammation flare up, I was no longer able to bend over and put my palm the floor. And I've always prided myself on the fact that I could, with my feet together, palm the floor. That was the marker I wanted to get back to after my car accident. I couldn't even bend and hit my knees, much less touch the floor. And after that inflammation flare up, I could not bend over and palm the floor. Before I hit 1.5 miles daily walking, I was able to bend over and touch the floor. By September, I was able to palm the floor again. So I've set some really weird like goals and markers. I'm not going to lie. 2021 will definitely be more, I want to be able to do 20 push-ups on my toes instead of on my knees. I'd like to be able to go a week without having a catch in my back. Those are the kinds of goals that I really am setting out for myself. It's not, I hate to say it's not about the weight loss, but it really hasn't been about the weight loss. That's just been a side marker that I can use to track progress along with other weird things like being able to touch the floor. Being able to get my shoes on without propping my foot up somewhere. Being able to prop my foot up. So I do have some things like that are on deck for 2021. But I want to wrap this video up. I've sat here babbling long enough about this. But if you have a question or comment, please leave it down below. Once again, no negativity is allowed here. If you have a problem with my diet, that's fine. Just walk away. I won't be offended. Just walk away. But if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment here on the video, my contact information with Instagram and my email are always in the description boxes of my videos. So if you want to reach out privately through Instagram or email, please feel free to. I don't have a problem talking about this other than the fact it is awkward to sit here and say, yes, I'm on a diet. Yes, I have some health issues. This is what's working for me. This whole thing is really weird and awkward. It feels very self-aggrandizing, which I don't enjoy. I lost a whole bunch of weight this year. Yay. I really didn't realize what a obvious and apparent thing this had become here until back in November and October. I started receiving quite a few correspondences from you guys. And many of you felt very awkward about approaching me about it because it is personal, it is medical. But I have zero issue discussing this with you guys. If you want to comment publicly, my comment section is here. If you would prefer to comment or make questions in private, my Instagram handle and my email are down below. So please feel free to reach out. Please follow the directions on the email, because I will miss your email if you don't use that. There have been a couple times where I've missed people's emails. But yes, other than that, I love you guys as always. Thank you so much for your support, your kind words. And I mean, as awkward as it may seem, even your discretion. So many of you guys have been so nervous about broaching the subject, and that level of discretion and concern for me really does mean a lot to me, and I don't know how to express that other than saying thank you. You guys have been phenomenal. My last 2.5 years here on YouTube have been an amazing experience in general. There's always somebody who tries to stir the pot and ruin it for everybody, but by and large, you guys have gotten me through some trying and difficult moments. You guys have been insanely supportive, and I could not thank you enough. And if I could give each and every single one of you guys a hug, I would. So thank you guys. I love you guys, and I will see you real soon.